What are some green flags early on in dating that the relationship should become serious? This was one of the most romantic things my husband did when we were early-ish in our relationship. He doesn't even remember it or think it was a big deal, but it was a huge green flag for me. I was preparing to move to a new apartment and had a ton of stuff going on in my life, including trying to coordinate moving out with expensive heat treatment for bed bugs that my a-hole landlord refused to be involved with. I was super stressed and drained, and when I was cleaning the fridge one of the shelves inside literally shattered. I was basically beside myself and so frustrated because I knew that said a-hole landlord was going to screw me on my security deposit now after all I put up with. So I vented to my husband then boyfriend and was basically just like I give up. Everything is the worst. The next day he let me know that he had looked up my fridge model, found the shelf as a standalone piece and ordered it and it would be there in 2 days or whatever. I cried. I was so grateful. I was so overwhelmed and emotionally exhausted over the bed bugs and moving and everything else, and the fact that he saw that and just took something off my plate and handled it was such a relief. It showed me what a supportive partner he could be, and it was just what I needed. Also, when my parents' dog, which I'd grown up with, got old and stopped being able to jump onto his favorite chair, my husband then boyfriend built a ramp for the dog so he could still get up there to sit with my mom. And he matched it to her decor on purpose. These were all things he just felt like, well, of course, it was needed about, but they reinforced what a caring, thoughtful, loving, true partner he was. He still seeks out ways to do little things to make my life easier all the time, many years later. Obviously these examples are specific, but hopefully you see the overall green flag qualities they showed. On top of everything you said, he just sounds like a very intelligent, pragmatic and action-oriented person. Yup, he is definitely all of those things. They genuinely like being able to do things to help you out and vice versa. They want you to be happy and you want them to be happy, and you're both willing to work/make reasonable sacrifices to make that happen for each other. On my second date, before I was supposed to move states, we got stuck in a parking garage cause of an accident for 45 minutes. We watched a non-subtitled foreign film on my phone, enjoyed talking with one another, and we connected despite being done with what we had planned to do and were stuck in a car. I ended up canceling my move and marrying the woman. Undefined. What a cute story. Taking embarrassing speep in stride. This was pretty literal for me. Sorry, this is my second post. I used to have ulcerative colitis really severely, which led to me speeping myself far more often than one should speep themselves in their early 20s. When I first started seeing my husband, who has ASD, we'd drive from campus to my apartment, and I'd be like, white knuckle concentrating on not speeping myself in his car, run up the stairs, usually barely making it to the bathroom before he walked through the door. One night I didn't make it. I'm basically hiding in the bathroom and turn on the shower B/C, it's a gross mess. On the other side of the door, he's all, why are you always so mad at me when we drive to your place? Did I say something? He'd been reading my try not to speep face as I'm angry. So I came clean and admitted I just speep myself, preparing for him to sort of back out slowly and end things as quickly as would be polite. This was within our first 2 months. His response instead: "Oh, so you just speep yourself? Where are your jeans? In the garbage." That's silly. Jeans are expensive. The laundromat is locked for the night, but do you have a bucket or something? We can soak them overnight and wash them tomorrow. We really not grossed out? Shrug. Not like you could help it. Just to me. I thought you were mad. Tell me what's going on, you know? I had feared that exact scenario since I started having UC symptoms, and my future rolled with it. Years later, when I had my colectomy, he bathed me in the hospital. After that, when he had to have a circumcision at 25, I looked after his stitches slash changed his bandages several times, or we laughed about how gross stuff was. He's seriously the best. There's a relationship I was in for quite some time with a girl who had Crohn's to the extent of having an ostomy bag. She was so hesitant to share with me. Not even her closest friends knew except one. But alas, something like that you can't keep secret forever from a partner you plan to be intimate with. She didn't want people to look at or treat her differently, to think she couldn't do things, and I don't blame her in many ways. I had and still do have so much respect for that woman. It did change my opinion about her, but in the sense I felt it made her shine more. She was very strong and soft-hearted, caring, determined, and ambitious. I had historically always thought to myself, sadly, that I didn't know how people could happily build lives with those who may have lifelong less than ideal situations like that. It really bothered me that I thought that too, and I'm sure in some ways she had the same fears of how will someone like me. After meeting her and getting to know her, it kinda just became clear. It never felt like a burden. It never felt annoying. It honestly in many ways made me like her more, because it was a testament to her character. It was just a part of life, and life was still a-okay overall. Heck, even while intimate things like the ostomy bag never stood out, it was there sure, but in my head it just wasn't something that mattered. I just saw her, and she was beautiful regardless. It's unfortunate it didn't work out for other reasons, but I really value that relationship. She taught me so much about acceptance, better understanding the lack of knowledge we have of everyone else's world, and also about myself. Man, typing this out, I think I need to revisit those lessons. Undefined. I absolutely love this. You really can value a relationship even though it's ended. I still think fondly of my exes, and I'm grateful for the lessons I learned from them. I hate that shows or movies often portray ex-relationships as scorched earth, rather than an experience that's run its course. How good is their company during a drive, or when there is nothing to do? My future wife and I found that we loved just spending time together. We could talk for hours in a car during a drive. Sometimes the drive was more interesting than where we were going. A few weeks into our relationship, we went through a drive-thru, and she spontaneously unwrapped and rewrapped my burger so I could eat it while driving with clean hands. I knew I was going to marry her. Just over a week from now it will be 23 years. Speed. My wife and I can drive for 3 hours without saying a word. She might jump out of the car if I wanted to talk for 3 hours and vice versa. Quiet time is fun time. I was going to say, comfortable silence is also healthy. Sometimes you just want a nap or a cuddle or to read a book or something. My husband and I have endless conversations. There's nothing we can't talk about. Nothing. The first time we ever chatted on the phone we talked for 6 hours. We've been together for 15 years and still talk every day, several times a day. We love our breakfast time because we chat after eating and really enjoy each other's company. We love talking, no matter where we are. And since he also works from home, we work together. There's lots of times we're saying nothing, just enjoying being around each other. But I love that we can talk about anything we want, and it doesn't descend into an argument. We could talk or not talk for hours, and still find things to not talk about. We both like soup. Both people genuinely enjoying the conversation, being attentive to each other. No negative attitude either. To add to this, asking questions. If you're enjoying the conversation because you're dominating the talking, it makes people turned off. Ask them questions and expect them to ask you some in return. Show interest in them by asking questions about things they seem energized. This is huge in developing good conversations. If they respond well when you are dealing with a crisis situation, or when you are seriously ill, or when your family member is seriously ill, they may be a keeper. In other words, how do they act/interact with you during times of stress? Does their presence/behavior help? Do they make it worse? Or do they make themselves scarce? Isolation was doing a number on my relationship for a hot minute, cooped up, not seeing friends, nothing to get excited for, just generally feeling down and irritable. My partner and I were bickering more often about stupid little things and we just weren't feeling great about things for a bit. Then we went on a drive down a forested dirt road to scope out possible campsites for the weekend. And ended up losing our brakes entirely, which had been inspected the week before but evidently not properly. Followed shortly after by a flat tire. Then the spare also ended up being flat. Reminder to check your spares regularly. It was getting late and help was on the way to meet us back at the main road. But to get to it, we had to get down a steep hill without cell service, with a drop off on one side, with no brakes and a tire so flat it was basically hanging off the rims. It was not a good situation. He literally had to go down the hill and park with the emergency brake on to keep us from gaining speed. We were super in sync for it, kept our cool, talked our way through it, and all was well. Afterwards, we both felt way better about our relationship because when Speep got real, we were partners working through it together. We worked through the little things and we've been doing great. My wife and I like to go kayaking on our anniversary. The first time we went was when I was 3 days out of detox, weren't married then, still sober. We just showed up, rented a kayak, and headed out, with no regard for the tides. It was so much work, especially getting through tight bridges and working against the tides. It was a great day, and we had to work together to keep from both getting exhausted at once and losing groundwater. Pointers. I feel you on this story. It was a defining point in our relationship. I felt like Speep, still in minor withdrawal. She was worried about me, just trying to keep my mind off drugs/alcohol. But during those few hours, it was just us, working together to literally stay afloat. 5 years later, she still has the selfie we took in the kayak as her background. Her explanation is that in a rough time, a hard day, we both were truly happy, big smiles and all. I wish you and your partner the best.